presentation.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to No Flicks Given. I am your host, Frank, and we're joined by the whole group, Matt, Peter, and Connor. Matt, why are you laughing already?
Because there was a long enough of a pause that I thought you might have forgotten your own name for a second there.
It's early in the night. We'll see where it goes. But, guys, it's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time.
And you know what that
Yes,
means?
it is.
It's the most
What does it
wonderful
mean?
time of the year.
Means a lot of editing for us, probably. We always just bite off way more than we can chew. This is why I don't know if we've ever released anything in any January. I feel like that is a thing we have to go back and check because we were just too dead. But with that, we were kind of going around figuring out what we wanted to do for this season. Do we even have necessarily a pitch with this, or we're just sort of like...
I was going to say it's the comfort food.
Yeah. This is Christmas
Theme?
comfort food.
Well, I should say,
2023 was a shit sandwich of a year, and I just, I don't need to be challenged.
and we normally go real hard for the Christmas episodes. And this year, I think we're just going to take it down a notch.
This is like those middle miles of the marathon where you're like just chugging along at an easier pace.
It's also it's sort of in keeping with the theme, Christmas should be enjoyed. And working ourselves down to the bone in the moments before Christmas when also our real jobs are like, hey, work really hard. It's almost the end of the year. In some years, that's exhilarating. In some years, that's very engaging and satisfying. This year, fuck that.
One day soon, we'll just batch all our Christmas episodes in like August, but until then...
Well, we always keep saying that, but then Halloween is just right up against
That is
it.
true.
There's nothing
Yeah.
you can really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
We're a very backloaded podcast,
Well, we love the holidays.
but now we're here.
we're here, and have I got a doozy of a first movie? And I've been trying to get us to cover this movie since Matt and I have had our own podcast, just because I want to see what the conversation is like. But it's time to watch Jingle All The Way.
Oh, okay.
1996's movie.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle? Question mark.
It's a tricycle at best.
Yeah.
The red carpet for Jake Lloyd.
Oh,
God.
Right.
All right.
It's a Jake Lloyd movie.
Every holiday season, there's one toy everyone has to have.
I want the Turbo Man action figure with the arms and legs that move, and the rock and roaring jetpack, and the boomerang shooter.
Getting it is every child's dream.
Whoever doesn't can be a real loser.
Finding it
You got the doll, right?
is this father's nightmare.
I'll get that toy. I promise.
Whoa! Nothing like waiting until the last minute, Howitzer.
Especially on Christmas Eve. From the director of Mrs. Doubtfire,
You want a Turbo Man for Christmas?
Forget it, I'm not gonna sit in your lap.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad,
I work for the post office and I'm unstable! Tell him! This man is totally insane. Thank you! Christmas comes but once a year.
Jingle All The Way.
You picked the wrong day.
It's turbo time.
Okay. That was both. It was both a lot and nothing. I don't know. My personal. Everyone looks dumbfounded by what we just went through. Connor's mad. I kind of. Here's what I thought. Can I tell you what I thought before anyone says your opinions of this? Because we've never talked about who's seen this movie. Who cares? I kind of thought Connor and I were going to be aligned on this one, and I'm not getting that sense at all from his energy. I thought like guilty pleasure, dumb, like idiot movie, and I thought Matt was going to be on the other end of the line, and Peter was going to kind of like float between camps a little bit and see the good and bad in both. I mean, is that at all accurate to how anyone feels about Jingle All The Way?
I mean, I think you're on base. I think with me.
You're very wrong with me.
You're about right with me. I mean, I tend to
Okay,
float. I
yeah.
mean, I don't feel very strongly about this movie just at all, which is probably a negative overall. But it's fine.
I put
Is it
this
though?
similarly
Alright.
to like my Masters of the Universe or even Streets of Fire to some degree, where I love this in its in a way it does not intend at all. Like it's so bad that you can't look away, and it's so like themeless. Like it doesn't. It's not. It's the least Christmas movie.
That I agree with.
Yeah. It very much feels like just like they had a slot. The studio had a slot for a time for a Christmas movie, and it was just get whatever we need to get to like fit the bare minimum requirements of Christmas movie for this release slot and go.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like movie Mad Libs, where it's just like,
Yeah.
give me a season,
Arnold,
give me a
yeah.
movie star, give me a plot, give me a genre, go.
Which is insane because I did do a little bit of Wikipedia reading because I was trying to figure out where the fuck this came from. And it seems like it's just a ton of younger boomer dads trying to exorcise the demons of having to shop for like big ticket items during the holidays.
Yeah.
They made reference to Cabbage Patch Kids, which was the first one that was a really big deal back in the 80s, but then it happened cyclically again, like Tickle Me Elmo. We had Beanie Babies, all the fad holiday, all that shit. So that very much seems to be, it's like, let's just string together the bare thread of a technical plot so I can vent about how I feel about the holiday season when I have to shop.
Which is perfectly fine, I guess, for a movie. Like it's
The thing
It would be.
The thing is, it's a very typical Hollywood thing we talk about a lot, about Hollywood learning the wrong lessons. Except in this case, it's not. This movie was successful. Let's apply the elements that we think are what connected with audiences, which aren't any of the elements that connect with audience. It is, I feel guilty about working very hard and not seeing my children. I wish I was a better father. If only I could buy them the perfect thing, then I would be a good father.
Somebody has to sell mattresses, Connor. Okay, I'm just telling you.
late at night during the party.
Yeah.
That was a weird. Okay, all right.
It gets into the threadbare, like he's a businessman, he's a salesman. Well, what does he do? He sells stuff. What does he sell? Mattresses, whatever. And then they wrote that in, and it stayed all the way to the moment where it came out of Schwarzenegger's mouth.
At no point did they think to give him a job that would affect anything in the movie
No.
at all.
The job had to be low stakes, but he was the best at that job.
Yeah.
I might be jumping to the end here. Just so we're clear, the lesson that all of this is a common character flaw in movie dads of the 90s, right? We can all, there's a lot of dads that are. Hook. Hook is the first thing that comes to mind.
Riding the edge of divorce is pretty much like the whole vibe of
Dad's working.
That's like a whole Spielberg genre, though.
Yeah, I mean Spielberg was really going through that at this era.
Yeah, and I and one of the things that I was reminded of while watching this though is that it reminds me of like it's the pre-divorce version of the Santa Claus, where you have some similar vibes on the other end with Tim Allen's character who's post-divorce, and trying to earn his kids' love and affection.
But the Santa Claus comes out before this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Santa
think
Claus
so.
is
I
like
think that was
94, 92?
94.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Because the Santa Claus does this so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Just the setup. Just the first 15 minutes of the Santa Claus are a better movie than Jingle All The Way is, because you actually understand that Tim Allen can get away with that sort of smug, like asshole workaholic, but you're like, oh, that dude's a stinker, but he is kind of funny. It is.
But
Tim
we love
Allen
him.
still. Yeah.
And in all the examples that we've cited thus far, the lesson that dad learns is I should be there for my child and listen to them about their thoughts and feelings, about what they want our relationship to be. At the end of Jingle All The Way, Arnold
this.
Schwarzenegger has not learned anything resembling this lesson. He has learned that if you dress up as Iron Man, your child will love you.
Beyond
Yeah.
that, he gets carried away from his family. That's the final image.
So I wanna just put this out there, because at what point is this just like the fever dream of a dying and broken man? Because it really is like, I worked so hard to get my kid the thing he wanted, and at the end of the day, I was carried off by the crowd as a hero.
Yeah,
And I didn't let my creepy neighbor fuck my wife.
It's the narcissist dad fantasy.
Yes.
It very much is. It's in not. We briefly talked about James Bond, I think, before we started recording. But the idea of it's just this weird male power fantasy for a very specific type of guy. And I don't want to meet the type of dad that watched Jingle All the Way and goes, "See, this validates my behavior."
That's what I've been feeling.
And
You'd think that the lesson, Connor, would be the family's going to see the hell he went through today, and that will tell them to like, oh, all right, he's suffered and he's trying and he's doing all this for us, and we didn't see any of it. But they don't know what happened today. Like
they
no one-
gesture to that at the very end, like right before she says, like, "What did you get me for Christmas?"
Oh right,
But by that point, it's far too late.
so gone.
It's far too late.
Yeah.
And Matt, my relationship with this movie now is that in my mind, a dude like that particular narcissistic dad, made this movie to justify his actions, and I hate it for it.
I mean, we did see the produced by Christopher Columbus line
Yes.
in the credits, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wait, you have a problem with mild-mannered Minnesotan Howard Langston?
All American.
All
man.
American Howard Langston, just average across the bow.
You're my favorite
man.
customer.
Number
You're
one
my
customer.
number one customer.
I did think of one interesting change you could make that kind of makes this a more interesting movie. If you do kind of almost everything the same, you still got to fix all of the crap. But like, if you swap actors between Arnold and Phil Hartman,
It makes
is
a
the
lot more
shitty-
sense.
It makes a lot more sense, and his like Arnold being the neighbor is funny. Like that's a funny thing that he's like the neighbor that's trying to seduce his wife.
It would explain
Yeah.
why all the
And-
women in the neighborhood want to fuck him.
If Arnold was just busting out of a flannel, like
Yeah.
his flannel was like unbuttoned to his navel and just every scene for no reason.
He gets
Like-
introduced chopping wood in the front yard for some reason,
With no axe.
the sun glinting off his rippled skin.
Well, he's got the pants with the suspenders and no shirt.
Oh yeah,
Like-
He always
Yeah.
got the flannel tied around his waist because it just got too hot, you know.
But yeah, well, I do appreciate though the fact that of the absurdity of it being Phil Hartman that the other single
God.
mothers in the neighborhood are after.
the best part of the movie, I think.
Before you learn how much of a slime ball he is, initially it's just kind of this funny, weird Ned Flanders thing going on.
Yeah.
And I found that amusing, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm also a sucker for Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman
Well, yeah. Oh
is
God.
so funny, and he was lost way too soon. But
Yeah.
his era of Saturday Night Live is still like one of my favorites.
Even just his like his Troy McClure bullshit on The Simpsons, like that's the stuff that I remember, and just like funny random the way that he carried, and pretty much all of his characters had like pretty much the same one note, but the way that he did it was always pretty, on point.
Ted, I need to speak to Liz. Could you get...
Oh, Howard, excuse me, but your wife's cookies are out of this world.
Who told you you can eat my cookies?
I'm just helping Liz out a little in the kitchen. She's making up a storm here.
Ted, I need to speak to my wife. So could you get her on the phone, please?
I think she's in the shower, Howard. Do you want me to go check?
No! I mean, no, that's fine. On your way out, just tell her I will be a few minutes late, but you shouldn't worry.
Oh, she won't worry. I mean, I'm here and... Oh, these cookies! I gotta get the recipe from Liz.
Put that cookie down! Now!
Okay. Jingle All The Way is the story of Howard Langston. I love saying this name. You all just like slumped in your chairs at the thought.
I mean, it's pretty basic plot, isn't it?
It's the simplest little plot. It's like this like episodic. It's trying to do almost like a Christmas Vacation style. Like, what are all the mini?
Oh, I would argue Christmas Vacation
Stories.
has so many more layers than this does.
No. I just mean in terms of like
It's
episodic.
It's set
It's like
piecey.
separate
Yes,
vignettes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's set piecey. Like you honestly with both movies you kind of forget what comes where because it's just like when is the radio station part, when is the like
Nothing
mob
builds.
of black market Santa Clauses. Nothing builds at all.
Yeah.
But basically it's him just like going out on Christmas Eve and trying to get the hot toy of the season. It's like
And that's it.
that's not the movie going off the rails. The movie going off the rails is like refusing to give any sort of heart to anything in this.
And at the end, he becomes the hot toy of the season.
Yes, which I did as a kid. I was always like, that was the only part I liked. Was like he puts on the thing, the suit, and he has like a parade battle with Dementor.
Also, and he
With the
by
Power Rangers.
defeating the lower middle class post office worker black father,
I did have a note here that.
the Austrian Aryan Ubermensch.
I wasn't gonna go there.
Sorry.
In 1996, Peter would have been real into Turbo Man.
Oh yeah.
If
Yeah.
that was a real thing,
yeah.
because 1996 Peter was real into Power Rangers.
Oh God, yeah.
So I can absolutely understand Jake Lloyd's absolute like emphatic. I must have this toy.
Oh yeah.
That makes
it's
sense.
a cool design too. You know, for what it needs to be. Like
it's
it would be
Iron
weird
Man.
if this. It'd be weird
Yeah,
if
it's
this
just Iron
existed
Man.
like on its own. Like if,
Well-
because it is this weird. You're right. It's half Power Rangers and half like Marvel, kind of. Like it's a superhero and like
It's all the trademarks of a Haim Saban production.
Yeah.
So like even if it weren't Power Rangers, it's like that cheaply made Saturday morning live action, not cartoon show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of just like keep the kids' attention and sell toys. Like that's the whole goal of this, and do it as cheaply as possible.
That opening sequence is kind of genius. Like the filmmaking is pretty good there.
Yeah.
Precisely
It's
because
good.
you can see the toy commercial nature of it, where it's like he's got a fist that shoots out, and he's got a boomerang, and he's got other shit that he throws, and like they list off.
He's got the
all of-
jetpack and
got
all
the
the bullshit.
jetpack.
Yeah.
They like list off all the abilities that these characters have that very easily translate into toys.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and it's almost filmed like a commercial.
Yeah.
Like I know it's like an episode of something.
Well, because that's
the
what they
way-
were.
Yeah, that's all that that the television that we grew up loving as children was simply long toy commercials. That was.
did you notice the cameos in the TV show though?
I noticed one.
So
did. Who's the
president?
Lorraine Newman and Harvey Korman,
Yeah.
Oh
right.
yeah,
two just absolute legends of comedy. So that was really fun. Once I figured out who, I was like, I know those two.
There's also a weird dearth of just like comedy people cast in bit parts in this whole thing.
Chris Parnell shows up at some point.
Baby Chris Parnell, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
even pre SNL at that point in
Yeah.
'96.
yeah.
He
I
looks
yeah,
like
right
a
around.
teenager.
I did some research looking for the SNL connection here because it's a very between Hartman and a bunch of and the other folks that we mentioned. Like there is also a like SNL kind of humor in the movie, like especially all the stuff around like the Santa Claus,
that was
counterfeit
fucking
ring.
weird.
Like that just reads like a Saturday Night Live style bit, you know.
Yeah. That even for this movie is crazy.
Well, and fucking Jim Belushi is the mall Santa. Like where does that even come from?
This also of all movies that do this is probably the most grating of the he's a stand-up. Just put him in front of the camera and he'll like figure it out. Like it'll be funny just to hear him. And you're like, I cannot listen to Sinbad talk any longer.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
A major issue this movie has is it cannot decide who its audience is. Right? It's trying to do both like adult-ish humor and straight up cartoon kid humor. And that puts the tone all over the place. So like, you start off with when Arnold Schwarzenegger meets Sinbad in that diner, right? And they sit down and have that conversation about like being a dad while also hating your own dad. It is actually kind of this like lovely, heartfelt moment of two strangers who are in a similar situation, just kind of like sharing their experiences with each other and bonding over that experience. And then, 5-10 minutes later, Sinbad's got a bomb, or pretending to have a bomb in the radio station and acting like a total spaz, trying to sell that he has a bomb. And then the bomb, the box where he says there's a bomb, turns out to be a real bomb, and it goes off and explodes in an office building. But then you cut back to the cops, who are just sort of like covered in like the Daffy Duck explosion. Soot.
The hair blown back.
Yeah, the hair blown.
Did everybody catch that cameo too? The cop,
Jim West himself.
Robert Conrad, the original Jim West from the Wild West TV show.
I totally missed that. I knew he had. I knew he certainly had a face.
Yeah, the main cop that we keep running into over and over again.
Yes. Small town, Minneapolis.
Oh God! And to Connor's point, I think it goes back to the idea of all of these are just set pieces that are kind of their own contained stories. But even within the diner scene, they let all of the air out of what they've been building up. The moment that we switch into the weird absurdist comedy of Sinbad being like, "Well, I turned out okay," and then like clicking to Jake Lloyd in the postal working uniform drinking out of the bottle.
They want that to be like, oh, now Arnold has like more agency to get this toy so that his son doesn't end up like him. But it's so botched.
That's a terrible lesson.
But he's already trying his hardest to get the toy. Like it's not.
Yeah. That's not how you're going to prevent your son from becoming a failure.
Yeah, and saying that a guy who's a postal worker for a living is a failure is a shitty thing to say in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's Sinbad specifically.
Okay, fair.
I think that might be part of it too. But you're right. They are sort of like not. I mean, they make jokes about the.
Did everybody read up who they were going to have cast in that role before Arnold suggested Sinbad?
No.
It's interesting. It doesn't work.
I feel like this is a fact that I used to know.
Joe Pesci.
I would love a Joe Pesci Arnold. But wasn't it like they were worried Joe Pesci was too short because he just done like him and DeVito?
Which by the way, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not that tall. He's like
no, he's not.
No, he's not even that. He's like 5'11". His build is 6'2".
Oh.
The reason I know this is because my father met Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
My father's 6 foot, and when he went to go meet him, realized very quickly that Arnold Schwarzenegger was shorter than he was.
He's a Hollywood
so
6'2".
Yeah, he's a Hollywood 6'2", in much the same way that Tom Cruise is a Hollywood 5'10".
But it's crazy that this. I was reading up on that too, and Joe Pesci's like, okay, that's something in the 90s after Home Alone. Like, of course, a studio would think of those names. But why was this not the third DeVito-Schwarzenegger combo?
Probably because I don't think they were putting it together well enough to even think about that level of engineering.
That would imply
DeVito is
better,
also a man of
like,
taste. Like he would not stoop down to this.
But
would also have to
DeVito's
run.
like directorial and writer
he would
brain
have to run.
on set.
That would be great.
I think, and it goes back to the fact that I think based off of my perception of the film and what I've been reading, is they were just looking to churn this thing out as fast and as cheaply as they possibly could, but still pay Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, and it came out really, really quick. I think from beginning of filming to release, it was like 6 months.
Yeah, they shot it in April 1996.
Yeah.
So they must have realized late in the game that they had a hole in the schedule for Christmas programming for 96.
Yeah.
And Arnold had a few months off
Right.
between vehicles.
Well, did you read about that?
What was that?
He became available because there was yet another delay in the Planet of the Apes remake, which he eventually ended up not being in anyway.
Is
So
that what
that's
the
how he
Wahlberg one became?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
And this was before Tim Burton was even attached.
Okay. That's interesting.
But like that was he was just like, yeah, Arnold had a gap in his schedule because he wasn't going to be shooting the Planet of the Apes movie, so we got to do something.
He was also like, I think he didn't end up like sort of totally nailing it, but the idea of like an action star who's like trying to pivot to comedy for the longevity of it, because like I think that's what he was doing in the 90s a little bit.
Well-
with like, let's open up my value and like let's give me more types of roles besides just like looking tough, because I'm not gonna be able to do that forever.
Yeah. Well, also
So-
the market for that flavor of action movie was kind of done before the 80s were even
Yeah.
over. You
Yeah.
know, like once you had Die Hard, where it's not like, I mean, Bruce Willis is obviously a very manly man, but he's not Schwarzenegger, Stallone style. Like that era of that kind of action film was really short relative to how much of a impact it had in the culture.
Yeah, like 82 to 87. Like that was
Basically,
really, yeah. And it's funny because Last Action Hero both comes out too late to really capitalize on it, and too early to be like
Yeah.
meta about it. You know?
So I'd like to play a really quick box office game for the
Oh.
opening weekend, because we're actually right at opening. So we're recording this November 21st. Not to give a peek behind the curtain. So Jingle All The Way comes out the weekend of November 22nd, 1996. It opens up at number 4, and there are 3 movies in front of it. I hope you guys can get 2 of them, because I do not know one of them.
Okay.
I know one of them.
I bet, Matt, I had all the faith in the world that you would know one.
What's the one you know? Is it Star Trek?
Star Trek First Contact.
I was gonna say don't say which one. I want to see if I can.
Star Trek First Contact opened at number 1.
What's number? What's given?
It opened the same week as Star Trek First Contact.
Yes, it did.
Wow.
The number 2 position, it's second week on the charts. It is an animated film from, mostly animated film from Warner Brothers.
Space Jam.
Space Jam.
That really gave it away.
I know.
Well, it was that or Page Master.
What year was Page Master?
I think it was a little later.
I think I thought Page Master was like 95.
Oh, maybe early.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I saw those 2. The one at number 3, I don't expect anybody to get. It was I believe this is a Mel Gibson vehicle called Ransom.
Oh, I remember.
Oh
Ransom.
yeah, that was
Oh,
on.
yeah.
That was on like TBS all the time. The Superstation.
Give me back my son.
Yeah.
It's the one moment from that movie I remember was Mel Gibson screaming, "Give me back my son!"
By the time we're finished, you're gonna wish you weren't born. I'll have your head on a fucking pike. You understand me? Fuck you! I'll fucking kill him right now. I want to talk. You kill him. You kill yourself, you motherfucker. Give me back my son.
Hello?
You want him? Yes. You want him?
Daddy!
Anyway, I thought that was fun.
Well, I think
Yeah,
you
it's
can
a
all
good-
guess which one we saw in theaters that month.
Space Jam. I feel like we all saw Space Jam.
I was at opening night of Space Jam. I don't know what you're talking about.
One of the other things with this movie that it's weird this movie has these elements in it is like there's some it's crazy how much CGI this movie has between the
With
reindeer
no need.
with no need between the reindeer and some of the Turbo Man flying stuff and that action, which is like before Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or anything, they're like flying through the buildings. I'm like, it doesn't look amazing, but for 1996, it kind of is incredible that they pulled that
It's
off.
fine, but also it makes you wonder, why are we doing this? Because I thought we established that it's just the Turbo Man suit, like it's not the show. Like he's not being
Yeah.
put into it's not Galaxy Quest. He's not being put into the world of Turbo Man where all this stuff works the way it's supposed to. He's supposed to just be in a costume.
That is
No, but they made that's the crazy thing. That's
The
insane.
crazy thing is the military would be there at the end of the parade to like confiscate all of this equipment because they've been waiting for something like this.
And that is such a perfect illustration of the utter lack of interest in logic that this movie has. Where it's like, it's clearly established this is a man in a suit doing a promotional thing. But because we need Arnold Schwarzenegger to be a good dad, we're going to make the suit magically work exactly like the suit from the TV show. A thing that wouldn't even happen on the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't
Shit,
have had
that's
the
a good
budget on the
point.
TV show. They would not have had the budget.
Did anyone recognize one of the 2 parade announcers? The guy?
Gale,
I
He-
did,
Gale
and I couldn't
Force.
place him. Yeah.
I know him from Star Trek 3. I can't remember the actor's name.
I don't remember his name, but he's Jackie Childs in Seinfeld. He's the lawyer.
Right.
It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous. It's definitely preposterous.
Yeah, so I think Connor kind of hit the nail as on the head as you can get it, where this movie can't decide if it's for kids or for adults, and it tries to do both and therefore does neither. Where it's like, honestly, there could be an interesting thing if you made this like an animated film, go into the lack of logic and really play up the antics.
That was watching it again today. I think that if it was if it was a cartoon, for whatever reason, most of the tone would suit better. I feel like if you just right now, if you just rotoscoped animated cells over all of it, I feel like it would just jive better. And just by the virtue of the fact that, like, once it's in a cartoon world, the rules don't have to apply the way that they do in the real world.
Either that or take the kids' antics out of it and have it be like a Larry David adventure. Like, that is the one of those two things where it's just, he just deals with the minutia of American capitalism during the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a valid thing to bring up as a theme over the course of Christmas, because we talked about that during the Miracle on 34th Street movies, and there are ways to do it well.
Yeah. If I had to guess about the creative process, which I also did some research and could find absolutely nothing, was that this was originally a sort of a comedy drama written from the perspective of parents. Yeah. Like, it's about it's clearly about a guy who's trying to do this thing because he feels like a bad dad if he doesn't. And then the studio said something to the effect of, well, it's a Christmas movie coming out at Christmas. We really need to include some kid shit in this. So give us a superhero, give me pratfalls, give me,
slipping on balls.
Slipping on Super Bowls. Give me the weird competitive aspect with the mailman.
Mothers hitting a guy with their pocketbooks. Mm-hmm. Just gold. Just 90s gold.
Well, and the comedic slapstickness of literally every retail worker that you run into over the course of the film. God. Which, coming from the experience of someone who has had to work these types of holidays, that is not the attitude at which we approached any of this whole thing. I've been there for midnight releases for shit. I've been there for Black Friday doorbusters. Like, there is no mirth, and there is no there's nothing there that would suggest that, like, that's the attitude at which it doesn't ring true to me.
That anybody working one of these jobs is full of the spirit of Christmas.
Well, not even that, but just enjoying.
Well, they're smarmy. Yeah.
Yeah, and enjoying holding the power of, like, the thing, all that we ever cared about was getting all of that inventory out as fast as possible so we could tell people that was it and go away. And, like, that's the end of that. Like, it was never about trying to, like, be the people with the purse strings who felt like we had some small power over, consumers. Like, that's just
like that one
fiction
piece where you've got the guy who's like, we got a small shipment of Turbo Men in, and he's like, by the way, the price just doubled. And the two workers, the minimum wage guys, look at each other and, like, evil grin as if, like, they're in,
like, they're
going to
get some extra money because of it. Yeah.
So this whole sequence is, to me, why this is still better if you look at it through the lens of a guy who is just, like, having this, like, heroic, like, vision, because the other piece of it too is whenever he asks anybody for help, they literally laugh in his face, which is something that rational people would never do, but you get the great Chris Parnell cameo out of it. So that to me is still, like, if you go and rewatch this movie, just think of it that, like, Arnold just had, like, a catastrophic car accident on the way to his kid's karate practice. And on his deathbed, he's just envisioning how he could have given his kid, like, one, like, last good Christmas.
Yeah.
Because that's a better movie.
In my mind, he hangs up the phone after saying that his wife is his number one customer and just has a heart attack, plops over on the desk, and that's where the movie actually ends. And the rest of the movie is just the last few synapses ceasing to connect.
It also,
like a Twilight Zone
tracks
episode,
because Peter, the amount of times in this movie he loses the trail of a Turbo Man is just sitting there with no plan to what to do next, and an opportunity walks right past him. Where one time is like the radio station's on and he hears about it. One time is like I forget one of the other ones, but the funniest one is like him and Sinbad are just on the street, not by the store. And as they're talking, a random guy runs behind them and screams, "Hey, they got a shipment of Turbo Man over at this store." And you're like, why are you telling these guys? Why are you screaming that on your way to get a Turbo Man? Like, and it truly baffling screenplay logic.
We are making this movie make more sense than it deserves. Just to
Well, so this is the trouble with the podcast sometimes, is that we're trying to like find the good. Like, this is turning into a bit of a fix-a-flick episode where it's like, if they just did this, it would be a way better movie.
If they just bookended it with Arnold's character dying.
Well, so the first thing is we switch Phil Hartman and Arnold.
That's fair.
I love that.
Rita Wilson, I think, is spot on in this movie.
Yeah, she's perfectly fine. Yeah.
I think Jake Lloyd's fine. I don't think they're good.
No.
It is.
No.
He's not. We were
Hard
as we were
disagree.
watching. Yeah, as we were watching it last night, it was Jake Lloyd was doing whatever he was doing, and Katie walked in.
Hi, Dad. I knew you'd call.
And so Katie goes, "So George Lucas saw this and just went that one."
Every
much.
frame that Jake Lloyd is on screen, and I feel bad saying this about a young child, is incredibly obnoxious and not in the good way.
I feel bad, and like considering Jake Lloyd's sordid life since all of this and post acting career, it's unfortunate, but like I don't think he was necessarily talented in this particular skill set to begin with.
No. And given no help,
and that's the worst part, and that's the director thing, because I think a lot of everyone's performances in this movie, except maybe Phil Hartman, fall flat.
And Phil Hartman doesn't fall flat because Phil Hartman knows better than anybody how not to fall flat.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
But
like
who else is surprisingly not bad in this? And I don't know why, but
The Big Show?
Yeah, right? I loved him. It was great. I was like, is that? Yes, it is. It is.
the guy who is talking to Arnold as they're putting him in the Turbo Man costume. That like
that guy is
Diet
great.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, Diet Jim Carrey, store brand Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Guy, he's dialed into whatever weird tone this is.
Cocaine.
It was a total freak accident what happened at rehearsal, and we're confident that we got all the kinks worked out of the system. Oh, and you should know, the doctor said Pete actually showed some brain activity this morning. Yeah, that's a really good sign.
All right, I want to ask a question then, because I want to have everyone go around. I'm going to call on you. You got to say something positive about this movie. You got to find the thing you liked most, and it's going to be Connor first.
Okay. I will tell you.
You didn't want to give him time?
I will tell you my favorite moment in this film. It's when they're in the Santa factory, and out of nowhere, apropos of nothing, Jim Belushi starts singing.
Jesus
The
Christ.
Boy That Santa Forgot.
What?
The song goes on for like 2.5, 3 minutes.
A while.
It's
over
the
the course,
whole song.
It's the whole song from the beginning to end. Sung and performed, not going to lie, beautifully by Jim Belushi.
Really well.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Santas, not all at once, but very slowly, join in on the chorus. If that is all this movie was, if this movie was just that scene, it would be like a 10 out of 10 perfect movie. The fact that it comes out of completely nowhere, it's completely random, and it's not hijinks, it is just...
Overstays its welcome.
No, actually, I think Jim Belushi, if nothing else, holds the scene together, and Arnold Schwarzenegger having no idea what to do is the perfect reaction. And it's such a bold choice to sing the whole goddamn song that it's kind of wonderful. In an incredibly cynical movie that I hate for a lot of reasons, it is a weirdly honest moment. Yeah. So that's my pick.
I really thought you were going to say when the candy cane nunchucks come out in that scene. Because that wasn't bad. That was not bad.
Yeah, it was okay.
Vern
I mean,
Troyer is also the little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
You know,
fight. I mean,
he's only credited as a stuntman in this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because I was looking for him in the credits, and he's only listed under stunts.
yeah. Well, it's because he doesn't have any lines, and all he does is stunts.
Well, I was going to say, it's clearly him getting yanked by there's no one else you could put there. Like it's Peter. Favorite thing?
My favorite thing is Phil Hartman's introduction. When he's sitting in the bleachers, they're watching the karate tournament, and all of these thirsty moms who he has clearly banged are like, when can I get my next taste? And all Phil Hartman wants is Arnold's wife. He's like, my last conquest.
The last woman in the neighborhood.
Basically Gaston vibes. Like everyone wants to fuck me, but I want to fuck the one person
but like
who doesn't.
if Gaston was Ned Flanders, like
Yeah.
Nothing
Who
at
decided
all. Nothing
to
at all.
make him like a sexual being in the cul-de-sac.
I don't
There's
care,
also,
but I love it.
there's an amazing moment in that scene where if you rewatch it, at one point one of the ladies is talking in his ear like seductively about like some recipe thing or something he fixed, and he just like looks away and just kind of like goes into this
He's got this very
sensual zone.
He's got this.
He just like
sinisterly though, like he's got this sort of
very.
Like, it's like Dracula and somebody's reading him, a blood recipe or something.
But
it's
like
also
Phil
like
Hartman is
blank.
like the only other person who I think could do that would be oh my god, I just blanked his name.
Chris
Malcolm
Pratt.
in the Middle. No, Breaking Bad.
You
God
blanked
damn
all
it.
of us. Hold on. Don't look it. This is
Brian
embarrassing.
Cranston. Brian Cranston.
Brian
I did it.
Cranston.
Holy shit. Okay, Brian
got it.
Cranston and Malcolm in
We
the
got
Middle.
it in an
I think,
appropriate amount of time.
like it's the perfect blend of like evil Walter White and his character in Malcolm in the Middle. It's just that intersection. I think is just it's great. And he's the only one who knows like what movie he's in, I think.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's also 9/10 of breaking the fourth wall.
Yes.
Yeah. I would love Bryan Cranston as the lead of this movie too. That's another one that would like help this. So you still have to change all the actual structural things, but like his Hal energy from Malcolm in the Middle dealing with these cartoonish retail scenarios, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you got?
I mean, it's a cheap shot, but it's the Jake Lloyd in the mailman outfit saying thanks for all like that. I just because it came out of fucking nowhere, and I think that those are the few moments in the movie that really I remember, but also think of at least moderately fondly. Like him sharing a beer with the reindeer he just punched out is also another moment that comes to mind. It's just like this is absurd but funny. It's those and Phil Hartman being orgasmic about Arnold's wife's cookies.
Oh, these cookies!
Those little moments are the things that I enjoyed about this. Nothing to do with the plot or anything else. And not least of which the fact that with the whole karate thing, I feel like they were setting up something that never got paid off.
No, well, it's not worth all of it, but he kicks him in the groin. That's the setup. That's it. That literally for this movie, that's above and beyond.
Yeah, not enough for me.
But it is so much karate to only have that be what happens in the end. You'd think you could do. I mean, there's so many setups and payoffs you can do with this, especially like it's a journey. You're always meeting new people. You should be able to like recall things you've learned from previous scenes in some capacity. But no.
Are your hands registered deadly weapons yet?
Is this it? Wow. This is really cool.
I love in that bar scene when Sinbad, they're in the diner and Sinbad's like, you ever hear of a guy named, I forget the name, Ricky Sherman? Yeah, CEO of Sherman Industries.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Fucking kidding me.
It's like that's the script is filled with filler names and it's what Connor was talking about, where it's just like they fill in the blank and then nobody went through for a second pass to make it sound any more convincing.
I don't know, mattresses. We'll fix it later. We'll figure out a good place. But I with all of that, I am never not entertained by Arnold Schwarzenegger thinking he's pulling off this character. The movie's insane. We forget about this, but at the core of it is Arnold Schwarzenegger pretending he is Howard Langston, just regular household family man Howard Langston.
Yeah.
No one acknowledges his accent, his build. And it never stops being funny. The fact that it's a new scene where he's trying to find a toy he cannot pronounce the name of.
They should have just leaned into that. Like, if they had just leaned into that, like, the movie is 20 times funnier.
Well, and
I don't know how you lean more. You can't call attention to it. Like, he has to be a fool.
And all of those early or Schwarzenegger comedies, like, that was the bit. The bit was
That was the bit.
a huge Austrian man, pretending to
Twins.
be
Danny DeVito's twin.
Yeah, exactly, twins.
Danny
I mean,
DeVito's
that was
twin.
literally the bit. It was a sight gag, which I think that might have been the first one, maybe.
I think
it was the first, and
predates
then they
Junior.
did Junior later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Junior, I honestly, I'm starting to think I've never seen Junior. I don't remember.
I've never seen Junior.
Oh,
I've seen
Junior.
Junior's weird.
is weird.
Yeah. But again, with Junior, it's like, okay, the ultimate like male image, like giant bodybuilder action guy is pregnant. Like that's, again, Connor, it makes sense that you're calling attention to this vibe. Like,
Yeah, like it
Can
starts
you
to get more
imagine-
meta as it goes, but this movie just completely tries to ignore it, which is
Yeah.
incredible. Again,
it's incredible it thinks it's going to do that.
right. Again, it's just sort of like turning in the Mad Libs you filled out as the shooting draft of the script.
Yeah.
Like, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. Why? He's available.
Yeah, he's available. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much that. Okay, maybe the only other thing that I do appreciate about this movie is the score.
I love the score.
Let's talk
Big
about the
fan,
music,
right?
yeah.
Let's talk about the music. The score is doing as much as it can do. It's David Newman is just kind of like
He is
crushing it.
Yeah, he is doing his rough draft for Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, basically, it's so similar.
There is a sequence in the parade chase that he lifts and puts into the third act of Galaxy Quest.
I was hearing Galaxy Quest.
I'll dig through and find it, but I heard like it was Galaxy Quest. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is Galaxy Quest. I'm not faulting him for it because it's still
they're both
it
good
is
scores.
this movie does not deserve this score.
And honestly, like I'll listen to this score with classic Christmas scores just to like get in the season a bit. Like mostly like the Turbo Man-y stuff because it's like very fun and lighthearted. Which also I'm pretty sure the Turbo Man theme are the same chords notes as the John Williams Superman theme. I remember when I used to have a piano, I was like trying to just like find both of the themes on there, and I kept finding the same notes for each of them. So
God,
I think
this
he
guy-
sort of refitted.
He was so busy in 96. Here's all the movies he composed in 1996. Jingle All The Way, Matilda, The Nutty Professor, The Phantom, Big Bully. That's a lot.
That's a lot for one calendar year if you're writing 2 hours of music. Also, we've covered The Phantom. We're covering Jingle All The Way. Did we miss? Is there another one that we've covered?
No, but I would absolutely do The Nutty Professor and Matilda.
Yeah.
We got to do Galaxy Quest. That's the one we're kind of missing.
We did
there.
do Galaxy Quest.
we've never done Galaxy Quest.
Did you give
We've done-
Galaxy? Was it Give It 5 or was it this show?
Oh, it might have been Give It
It was
5.
Give It 5.
'Cause
We've done Galaxy Quest.
I'm pretty sure we did fix Jingle All the Way at some point many years ago, Peter.
I don't think so. We've because I was trying to figure out when I watched this movie last. I'm pretty sure I have not seen this movie since it was like on VHS. Like I'm pretty sure the last time I saw it, I know I saw it in theaters, and I think we rented it like once from Blockbuster, and I don't think I've seen it since like 2000.
If I had ever seen this movie in its entirety, I don't have a recollection of it. I remembered a few moments, but otherwise, this was the first time that I had actually focused on it for the full 90-minute length.
Matt, we have never done Galaxy Quest.
Why do I have this image of Galaxy Quest?
Because we've always talked about it. You know why we haven't done it? Because we knew we were always going to do it. So we just like kept being like
kept saving it.
We're kind of saving it. Like it's gonna be the obvious one. So
It's like being
also,
a New Yorker and having never gone to the Statue of Liberty. It's like it's right there. It's always gonna be right there. Why am I gonna go there? Like
I've never been to the Statue of Liberty.
No shit.
Okay. Before we get off of David Newman, he is the son of Alfred Newman, the brother of Thomas Newman, and the cousin of Randy Newman.
Yeah.
wow.
That is a very powerful music family in
He
Hollywood.
is the least talented Newman musician.
Oh.
I mean, come on, rank him right
I
now.
wonder what their Thanksgivings were like.
You put him above Randy?
I'll put him over Randy. Toy Story theme. The Toy Story scores are incredible.
Galaxy Quest really is close to my heart, though.
Well, he thrives when he is spoofing a theme, like the Turbo Man stuff, the Galaxy Quest stuff, even Phantom to some degree is kind of like
Phantom is riffing off of something that like some adventure serial thing that he knows, because that's
yeah. So he does best in that capacity of like he knows how to sort of like a little bit do sound alikes, but he does them as about as good as anyone has.
Fair enough.
Is Gilbert Gottfried the voice of Booster, or is my ear just hearing
No, so it's not Gilbert Gottfried. It's Booger from Revenge of the Nerds. Because you see him with the mask off, and because I was like, I know who that guy is. I can tell you his name in a couple seconds.
Does he sound like that in Revenge of the Nerds?
Yes, he does. That is his voice.
Guys, it sounds just like Gilbert Gottfried.
Where the hell have you been? Jeez, I've been sweating like a dog in a Chinese restaurant waiting for your sorry ass to show up. Well, it's showtime.
While you do that, I'm gonna click on the director of this movie and see what else he did. Oh no!
He's done a lot. He's done like the Flintstones.
But it's all very much like, oh, that's his tone. Oh, yeah, that's his tone.
I think he did Beethoven.
Yeah, he hasn't done it, but he feels like the director of Nickelodeon's Snow Day. Like he's that's the vibe.
That's a movie I haven't thought about in a very long time.
He did both Flintstones and something called he did Are We There Yet? And The Spy Next Door, which is I think Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Curtis Armstrong, known for playing Booger in Revenge of the Nerds, Miles Dalby in Risky Business. He's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah, if you're a working comedy person, they throw you wherever they can fit you.
I love Booster is a like pink saber-tooth tiger that also has a jetpack. There's also that running joke of like
that everybody hates
everyone hates Booster. It's never funny. Is it like it's never funny?
I think it goes back to this being written by dads of a certain age in a certain situation, because as much as there is the toy of the now, there is very much the not toy of the now, and God forbid you end up with that under the tree.
It's like when I asked my parents for a Wolverine toy for Christmas, and I got a Colossus. It's just not
Yeah,
the
like
same.
that's literally that. That's
Yeah.
what that is. Booster
Or
is
you
the
got a
Colossus.
saber-toothed tiger or a saber-tooth instead of a Wolverine.
But see that again. Now that's a joke for the kids. Like that's for the kids side of it.
But
like,
but it
or-
only works if like the reference means anything. Like nobody has any association with these characters. Like it's
Right.
No.
yeah.
Like
No.
there's a couple of leaps that one must make in order for that joke to come full circle. 4 adult men had to sit around and talk about it before the joke started to make sense to all of us.
You know what I can't square though is that they still got license from Marvel to do a big ass Captain America mural, to
That's
have a
because-
Hulk mask.
That's
And-
because the brand was worthless then.
Yeah,
Then why not just use Marvel characters in this fucking movie?
Because
the actual movie rights had been licensed off by that point, so they couldn't.
Marvel
but
was
they could use
was straight up bankrupt at this point. So they
Right,
started
yeah.
selling the movie rights to the characters to anybody that would buy them, which is why we're getting Madam
Sony,
Web 20 years
Yeah.
later. Or 30
Wasn't
years
the
later.
do we want to talk about Madam Web?
I
That
mean,
was
not right now, I don't think, but I'm curious.
I might have to go back and watch it to
It's
decide whether I feel anything about it or not.
it looks like it's just bonkers enough to work.
I mean,
I hope so.
And it's a Sony production, right?
Yeah, it's like it's like Sony.
You know what?
Spider-Man.
They're screwing around with the license, and frankly, I would rather them do that than all of the completely underwhelming milquetoast safe bullshit that
Yep.
Disney's putting out. So
yeah. It's also like a little bit when you give your kid brother a toy that's already broken to keep them chained in the corner. You're like, you can't hurt anybody. Like, do whatever you want over there. Like,
You give
that's
them the
fine.
broken controller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make Craven. Who, like, what are you doing? Like, no one is going to be disappointed or hurt that movie comes out.
It's all upside. Yeah.
It's all
It could be
potential.
fun. It's all potential. Yeah.
That's why Venom. The only reason Venom is popular is because like we all had no expectations for that movie whatsoever. Like it was a joke when that came out,
Yeah.
and then we're like, oh, this is like competent, I guess.
I still haven't seen it. I haven't seen either of
Neither
the
have
Venom
I.
movies.
The
Honestly,
first one's
his
fun.
the cameo in the last live action Spider-Man movie was, I think, enough for me. But we'll
Yeah.
see if I decide to revisit it. But to the point of using the new intellectual property for the purpose of the movie, I think it's also the producers would not have even thought hard enough about it to try to find something existing. They just would have been like, "Hey, slap together this cheap knockoff thing that we don't have to worry about any type of legal fees for." And so you end up with Turbo Man.
You got to imagine, like, you look at this movie, you're like, well, this is always going to be middling. Like, this was never going to be a hit. But, like, back then, you've got Arnold doing a Christmas movie. You're like, okay, in the rare chance that this explodes, like, we're going to own the Turbo Man merchandising. Because they put out Turbo Man toys when this movie came out. This is you can still buy them. Like,
Yeah, but it was very brief, and it was like kind of a Hail Mary to try and recoup some of the expense in the film.
yeah.
they're
But I
like,
think
if
had it been
this
a
does
hit, they
take
would have
off-
done it too.
It was a retail just in case.
I'm gonna check eBay to see if I can find a Turbo Man.
I
Yeah,
did.
how
I found one for $39.99 that I was looking at earlier today.
That seems
It's
a
like-
lot. Is it mint in box?
I think it might be. I don't know.
That's the
I didn't find
that's
that
the only
crazy.
circumstance under which I would. I wouldn't pay $40 for a Turbo Man. Like
I've got listed on Amazon. Oh, I guess these are Funko. So these are
oh god, they
re-releases
re-released them
for $60.
That's cool.
Capitalism's
Oh, no.
a joke.
I am very happy that I have never bought any Funko thing.
So this is by Funko, but it doesn't look like Funko. It looks like a Turbo Man.
When does Todd McFarlane handcraft a Turbo Man?
The ultra
16-inch action figure.
the ultra realistic Turbo Man.
Guys, we're doing Turbo Festival. I also find the doll too big to play with. It's like
Yeah.
a foot and a half tall. Is
Yeah.
it me? Am I missing something? Or is this too big? I think they made it big so you could like, it's a better prop.
It needs to track.
You know?
Yeah.
It needs to track. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely too large. Also, the one I kept correcting them the entire way along until I think finally Sinbad goes, "It's an action figure, not a doll."
They say doll so much, yeah. Which
Okay.
I thought was a joke, but
Guys, I've got a screen used Turbo Man, Dementor, and Booster
We don't want Booster.
Nobody wants Booster. But to get to the other two, $12,500 on eBay.
Jesus Christ.
12,000?
Screen
do I
used,
get a
Frank.
do I get a certificate that says that Jake Lloyd held it in his hands?
God, I hope so.
God. Oh my God, $12,000. That talk about a Hail Mary. That guy's
Well,
marriage is right.
And you know that guy bought it for 11 and he's just trying to unload it.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I need to get my wife back. The only way I can do it.
I also really appreciate Phil Hartman calling out that he's serving non-alcoholic eggnog, which is just
They just ripped off Ned Flanders. They're like, what if everybody in their neighborhood wanted to fuck Nick Flanders?
But doesn't it
Ned
feel like
Flanders.
there's something worse in the eggnog then? Like there's no alcohol in here. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
There is just a
especially by
lot
that
of
point.
Rohypnol.
By that point in the movie, you were worried about his character.
Yeah.
But it blows my mind that you would I want to know the order of events, because when you first come up with this movie and you're going to have the neighbor trying to hook up with the wife, you're like, well, the neighbor's going to be more attractive. You start there if you want it to be a threat and you work backwards. And then at what point do you go the Ned Flanders route? And then at what point do you be like, oh no, he's an actual sexual being. People want to fuck this man. It's not that he's a sleaze.
Which is a storyline that it bears mentioning is in a children's movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a kid.
Once Arnold is cast in the main role, that's the first direction
That has
to
to
go
be
with
it.
the neighbor.
Yeah.
Is, oh yeah, the neighbor's bespectacled and kind of nerdy or whatever, but all of the ladies want him, and that's the joke.
Do you know who the best version cast? If you're not going to do the Phil Hartman thing, the other direction you can go and who you cast as the neighbor, Sly.
So I was trying to
Stallone.
think about this. Yeah, if like what other aging or middle-aged action hero could you replace Arnold with? And I thought about Sly for a second because again that still goes in the dying fantasy is I look like Arnold and my neighbor's a big old nerd that's just trying to sleep with my wife.
Yeah.
The more I talk about this, the better this movie is. Just a dying
do you think?
man's
We
wish.
need to just stick Mid-Journey or something and do the Rod Serling intro and outro.
Yes.
And suddenly it
Yes.
makes the movie better.
What do you think of? Because the most grating thing to me is Sinbad in this movie. What do you think of this movie if you swap out Sinbad for Sylvester Stallone and the movie is Arnold versus Stallone? But you finally get the big screen because for years, for
That's
a
fun.
decade, they were trying to do
Yeah.
that. You finally get the big screen showdown, and it is them fighting
And it's
over a
in
kid's
Jingle
toy.
All The Way.
And it's the sheer fuck you-ness of that. I almost respect.
So, I mean, Sly would need a lot more to do than what Sinbad had.
Well, you have. So I think the other. I was gonna say you can do this with Arnold's, whoever the main character of this idea is, but you can have one of the parents be like, I'm not going to buy into the corporate capitalist rat race of this. I'm going to go out. I'm going to be sensible. I'm going to get a toy. I'm going to stay calm. And then you have them sort of get all of that stripped away. So by the end, they are as animalistic as the rest of America towards these toys. You have someone who's I'm going to get him a book. And he's so that's the thing. You start with I'm not even going for the popular toy. I'm going to get the educational thing. And then he's oh, well, it does seem like they should get this toy. Maybe I'll just look he'll just get charmed by capitalism in a cautionary tale.
Yeah, he can't be a mattress salesman to begin with. Then he can't. The reason why he's in the
Yeah, it's a
doghouse
whole other
cannot be
character.
because he works too much.
Which, okay, you also the start of this movie's confounding because it cuts from the mom being don't worry, your dad's going to be here. She says some kind of throwaway line about
He's gonna make it.
He's going to make it.
That's
He's probably just working late. And it cuts to champagne popping. And you think the joke is, oh, he's partying at work. That's funny. But for some fucking reason, they cut to him working at his desk. What a confusing order of events.
Because they cut the wind out of the sails of the joke, but they still wanted to have the cut. And the Santa Claus does it better in its opening sequence too, just the same, without undercutting it.
Absolutely.
It's wild.
I just want to go watch the Santa Claus now. Yeah.
I did in the pandemic. It's not my favorite of these types of Christmas movies. It's perfectly fine. I think I just didn't. If I'd grown up with it, I'd be more sort of.
Yeah,
open
I
to
grew up
being-
with it, and I think it's if not a every year and every other year kind of movie to watch, just by virtue of where it sits in my heart.
Yeah.
Jingle All the Way will not be.
Yeah, no, the Jingle All the Way is not. The Santa Claus, only the Santa Claus, none of the bullshit that followed. Just
Oh
the
yeah,
Santa
no, I
Claus.
don't. Yeah. I love Martin Short. I'm glad he's collecting a paycheck, but I don't need to see Jack Frost fight in some weird Narnia-esque epic battle against Santa Claus and his army of elves. That's not what I'm here to watch that movie series for.
No.
For a second, I was getting that confused with Fred Claus because I think they came out around the same time, and I was like, why do I feel like Vince Vaughn was also a factor in that movie? But
The Santa Claus was like 92. Fred Claus was like 2000.
2007.
Yeah, but the
the third Santa Claus, the Jack Frost.
Yeah, the third the Santa Claus sequels came out way later after the first.
That was
Santa
funny.
Claus.
Oh, and apparently last year there was a
Disney
series
Plus
show. Yeah,
Because
The
we I
Santa
think
Clauses.
when we covered the Santa Claus during our Santa off, it came up, and we were all I think a little worried about that as a concept.
Right.
Was that one of the ones we did? We did Miracle on 34th Street, Claus, the
And
Santa Claus. What was the fourth one?
I don't.
Didn't we do Christmas Chronicles or whatever, or was that something else?
Or was that one? Oh no! Wait, it wouldn't have been the time that I made you guys watch One Magic Christmas.
That might have been later on that year.
And it wasn't the one, the Santa Claus the movie that.
No, that wasn't that one.
I think we did with Peter forever ago. What was the fourth Santa Claus? Now I'm like, Elf.
Oh right, yep, it was Elf. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a Santa Claus in this movie. I don't think he necessarily matches up to the ones we just talked about.
No,
but
Voice
he
of
can
an
carry
angel,
a tune. Yeah.
It is a great regret in my life that I never get to show you guys One Magic Christmas for the first time ever again.
Yes, but it's on film, so you get to watch us experience it
That is
the first
true.
time
Yeah, that is
whenever
true.
you want.
True.
That's that. Like you got to keep that in like a locket around your neck. Just that moment.
Whenever you're feeling sad, just
Yeah,
you just
That's what you
open-
think of, and sprinkle some fairy dust over your head so you can fly.
It's like From Dusk Till Dawn. It's like, all right, I know what this movie is. I know what it's going to be. And then that happens and you're like, oh, I thought I was following that person for quite some more time.
Yeah. It's really
And
not
then
the Harry
Harry
Dean Stanton of it all.
Isn't Harry Dean Stanton like in a tree for
a lot?
Because he's an
an
angel.
alarming amount of that movie?
Guys, I am not
He's in a
talking
tree.
about One Magic Christmas.
All right,
you an
all right, you're right.
angel?
Go listen. Is that on our
Yeah, we
collective
put it up
feed
on
now?
the we put it up on the feed
Yeah,
last
oh
year.
yes, of course. It was too good not
Okay,
to.
cool. Okay.
Go listen to
back.
the episode because it's a commentary. Didn't we do a commentary?
Yeah, it's
We
a
did a
commentary.
commentary.
It's
Yeah.
a commentary.
Oh fuck!
Because I had
God bless anyone
to
who-
experience it. You guys experiencing it live. Also, I believe the clip of it is on our Instagram for those
Yep.
that are interested.
Yeah,
We should probably just repost that every year on Christmas Day, just for the fuck of it.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's a gift that keeps giving.
Indeed.
It is.
Connor's going
It
to be
truly
chasing
is.
that high forever. He's going to keep trying to find like more subversive cinema to show us. So,
More subversive Christmas cinema. That's the important part.
yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for looking for this toy with me. I honestly I was really excited beforehand to talk about this with you, and seeing how frustrated you guys all are, it's even better. It's so much better. It's just it's the
I thought we were done inflicting movies on each other, Frank.
Movies
well,
is
I mean,
warfare.
I can't stop looking at it because it is just so confoundingly horrible, and it
Yeah.
may be, not even from a technical standpoint, it might be the worst Christmas movie as far as like the spirit of Christmas. Like, it might actually be the worst one.
It's certainly the most
bar
cynical
none.
Christmas movie I've ever seen.
Does anyone want to take us out on an Arnold impression?
Those cookies are mine.
I was gonna say I have a Sinbad tight 5 I can do, but other than that. He does scream Rodney King at one point, which is just like perfect for this movie and this tone. Great. He's been under a lot of pressure since the Zip +4 thing, so
that was
oh my God.
That was a funny joke.
That was funny. Yes, I did
That's
appreciate that. That was a good one.
Connor's
Merry Christmas, everyone.
most upset.
Yes, he's still decompressing from having had to watch Jingle All the Way.
Yeah. I was mad watching this movie. Like, I was like, fuck this movie, fuck its attitude, fuck its like tone, fuck all these characters. There are no good people in this movie, including Jake
fat-ass,
Lloyd.
bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is! Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass. Happy Hanukkah.